Through Weight Loss by Hers, you can give yourself something to be excited about in 2025. You can spend the new year in control of your weight by losing up to an average of 9 pounds in your first month. This is based on data that real Hers customers have reported based on their personalized compounded GLP-1 treatment plans. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by providing access to affordable weight loss treatment plans, delivered straight to your door if prescribed. Hers offers a holistic weight loss program with personalized solutions, including compounded GLP-1 weekly injections, featuring the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy or oral medication kits. So if you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it's time for you to find the best option that works for you through Hers. Start your initial free online visit today at forhers.com/KKC. That's FORHERS.com/KKC for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/KKC. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased. Okay, you want to look luxurious but not spend a lot of money? I got you covered. With Quince, you're going to treat yourself to everyday luxury at an affordable price. Something everyone needs in their closet, in my opinion. Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, guess what? They start at $50. Or if you really want to up your luxe factor, check out their Italian leather bags, washable silk skirts, and European linen sheet sets. Whatever you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. It's because they partner directly with top factories and cut the costs of the middleman, passing the savings on to you. And also they work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel. You guys need to go get yourself the bodysuits. That's my new obsession. Look great with jeans or a skirt. Treat yourself this winter without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/KKC for 365-day returns, plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/KKC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/KKC.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. I hope that you're having a great week, and I've got a great episode for you, so buckle up. If I'm with you in the car, on a run, at the store, wherever it may be, I think you're going to so love the discussion here because Brian Moylan, New York Times bestselling author, Vulture reporter, Real Housewives Institute director, is back with me to talk about all the Bravo shows this week. Now, but first, there have been so many episodes that I've done and so many great conversation starters that you can take back into your life this week. The Micah and James Stauffer documentary series on HBO about their family, An Update on Our Family is the title. Go watch the first or second episode. That is enough for you to be in a text thread with a couple of friends for hours, just going back and forth. Fascinating discussion. You have the memoir that I mentioned on the Tuesday episode, Sherry Frankie's memoir about her mother, Ruby Frankie, and that is going to be the subject of, I believe, 1 or 2 forthcoming documentaries or series. So if you want to know more about the Ruby Frankie story, she had a YouTube channel called 8 Passengers and ended up being arrested for abuse. You can go and listen to that episode on Tuesday. And then also, there was a docuseries this week that I interviewed the executive producer of about Kobe Bryant. It begins this Saturday. It's going to be 3 episodes airing every single Saturday over the next 3 weeks. And it's about the making of the legend. So first episode is about his life as a child, second about the sexual assault, and the third episode about the next chapter of his life. We also have some upcoming interesting docuseries on Netflix. There's one about O.J. Simpson. There's another Sean Combs, P. Diddy Combs documentary series coming out on Max. So I'm going to be interviewing the executive producer. So a lot of very interesting subjects that you can deep dive on. This is going to be like the kind of stuff this week where you're like, oh my God, did you listen to Kate's episode on Friday? We have to watch that. Or we have to talk about what they discussed on that episode. This is a great week for that. As always, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to the show and that you're sharing these episodes. It means so much to me when I get a DM or I get tagged in a DM where someone is saying, I love this episode. You got to listen to it. I got to tell you, it just makes my soul soar. So thank you so very much for doing that. And I hope that you are subscribed to the What to Watch list at katecasey.substack.com so you don't miss any of those episodes that are in every category that you like. True crime, sports, whatever. Oh, I've got some good sports ones coming up too. And then also the bonus episodes. I go even more deep diving on subjects, but I also tell you about stuff that happens behind the scenes, not just in podcasting, but in pop culture. I find that I connect with so many different people with so many different like connections to entertainment. It's always interesting to get their vantage point. So go to the bonus episodes because you get even more. And you know what? It's ad free too. So go to Patreon, patreon.com/Kate Casey. Okay. So lots of stuff going on this season, you know, in a number of shows on Bravo. So we're going to cover Southern Charm. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with JT, the friendship between Craig and Austin, what we think is going to happen to Craig and Paige now that they've broken up, whether or not Shep's girlfriend was a grifter. We talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, whether or not Kyle should cut off PK and no longer text him or communicate with him. What's really going on with the Dorit and Kyle friendship and that whole kind of murky situation. We talk about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, deep diving what we think about Bronwyn and Todd and the Bronwyn and Lisa Barlow relationship and the backstory on Bronwyn and choosing to have a child when she was very young. Gosh, I have so much empathy for her. What a strong woman. And then, of course, we talk about the Real Housewives of New York finale, which was very, very dark. And I'm sure most of you that have watched it will agree with me. We kind of try to make sense of what is certainly one of the most bizarre episodes, upsetting episodes that I've ever seen in Real Housewives. So a lot of moving parts. Again, I hope that you're subscribed. Make sure that, I don't know, maybe you're on a train, maybe you're on a bus, maybe you're on at a conference this week, having lunch, wherever it may be. If you start chatting about like things you're listening to or interesting people or whatever, just say, oh, you've got to know my friend Kate Casey. She's got this great podcast. And you better say it that way. You got to know my friend Kate Casey. Sometimes some of you write me and they go, I feel like you're my friend. You are my friend. We are friends. So make sure that you're subscribed, follow. And here is my interview with the great Brian Moylan. Brian, we're both on the same time zone.
I know. I love it. It's early in everyone's morning.
You know, typically when we talk, I sometimes do it like when the sun has not even risen yet. And you have already enjoyed.
And I've done it when the sun has already gone down in London.
You've enjoyed a good day. So welcome back to Los Angeles. And your house is okay and we're good, right?
Yes. Everybody is nice and safe in my neck of the woods. So thank God for that.
Thank God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've roped you back in here because we have a lot of stuff to discuss in terms of Bravo shows this week. First thing I'm surprisingly going to go after is I want to talk a little bit about Southern Charm. News that they're already filming the reunion. The season's flown by. Have you been interested in this show this season?
See, it's weird that it seems like we're getting two shows with Southern Charm, right? We have like these storylines with Whitney, Shep, Austin, Craig, Madison that I care about because I care about them. Yeah. And then there are these storylines with JT, Taylor, Vanita, Sally, all these new people that I don't give a shit about. And they seem like fake and made for reality television and whatever. And so all the Craig and Austin stuff I've actually been really enjoying because we often don't see this examination of male friendships and their dynamics in our shows. Usually it's based around women. And so I find that to be interesting.
Me too.
But all this other stuff, I'm like, I don't care about you. I don't care about the story. Like, I think Sally is playing everything up for reality television, which, okay, fine, whatever. So it just seems a little, that half of the show seems like junior varsity to me, as opposed to the rest of the show. And so that's what I'm feeling. And also JT is the fucking worst. He's just like such a nerd.
What's his deal?
Oh my God. He's just like, he seems like someone who would drive a Cybertruck. That's what I feel about JT.
A Cybertruck or a Mini Cooper. It could go either way.
You are 100% right. It could go either way. And then the episode that just passed, he's talking about how he had to tell Taylor that her boyfriend Gaston from Beauty and the Beast is no good. And he's saying, oh, but it's the truth. People don't want me to tell the truth. People don't want me to tell the truth. nobody wants to hear the truth, girl. And if you're going to tell people the truth, you need to do it in a way that is going to be nice and like lead them along and whatever. He's standing, and that's not what he's doing. And he's standing by like, I'm telling the truth. It's like, yeah, but you're being a dick about it. So people aren't going to receive that truth if you're going to be a dick about it.
Does Craig have a problem lying?
I don't think that Craig lies anymore like he used to back in the day, but I think that Craig can misremember things, maybe, massage reality a little bit. Like, I don't think he's just pulling things out of nowhere. But yeah, JT obviously didn't call Patricia a bitch, or else Bravo would have shown it to us. Like, if he did it anywhere near a microphone, they would have found it. So, but everybody seems to know that. Everyone seems to, well, Craig said this, but it's fucking Craig, who knows? Yeah. And I think that that's kind of a fair assessment. But but Craig wasn't wrong in JT expressing kind of certain feelings about Patricia. And I think that regardless of the word he used, that is the key element.
The killer.
Yeah.
So in addition to this, we've got news that Craig and Paige are no longer. Of course, she's dating someone else who seems to have a very cool job. They were at the Eagles game, so I salute that, obviously. Thoughts on the breakup and where those two will end in a year from now?
I mean, that's a good question. All I really want for Paige is for her to marry somebody really rich and like get out of the game.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what her dream is too. Like, I don't need to hustle this. She's been hustling for a long time. She's built a good business too. Good for her.
And she's very talented. And I like her a lot and whatever. But also, if she broke up with Craig just so she could go date some other guy, I don't know. That seems a little shisty to me and counter to the narrative that we're getting that, it's all amicable and blah, blah, blah.
But then I also noticed that Craig said in the last episode, I'm a hard person to break up with. And I thought listen, I always say sometimes people realize someone was a great person to date, but not to marry. Totally fair. And God bless, because you save people a lot of headache when you don't get married when you don't want to. It may have been a situation for a while where she was like, I just don't think we're a good match for marriage, but he didn't want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, remember how hard it was for Naomi to break up with him and how he kept trying to like claw her back and make it work and whatever. So yeah, I can see that. Oh, poor Craigie.
But I think he'll be fine because I think he's going to find someone. It's going to be an instant spark. And then I bet you he'll be married in a year.
Yeah. And she'll be like on the HGTV show with him.
Right. Oh, good. That'll make him happy.
She'll be some like pretty Southern girl that Middle America will love, and they'll watch her and Craig flip houses for 20 years.
Absolutely. And they'll name the baby Ribbon.
Oh my God, Craig would totally have a daughter named Ribbon. This is my son, Ribbon.
Sash or Sash.
Sash. Oh my God, Sash is such like, oh my God,
Sash
I can imagine.
Conover. You're welcome, Craig.
Sash Conover.
And then do we think that this girl is bamboozling Shep into believing that they're in a loving relationship? They all kind of think she's a grifter. I asked him, he said, we absolutely had a great love affair, but what do you think?
It seems it's giving a little bit grifter vibes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's also like in the first episode, Shep's talking about how he wants to move to Bermuda and marry a native and have a bunch of babies and just like live there. And I was like, hello, colonialist fantasy.
Yikes, like, that is true.
Like this is exactly what your ancestors did to America. And
yikes.
Apparently it's strong in your genes, Shep. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit of a grifter vibe. I also am not liking the vibe between like JT and Vanita, where he's, kind of coming on to her because she's the only person on the show that will pay attention to him. And then now she's saying in interviews that, he like ghosted her and then showed up with some other girlfriend. And so
he's off the list. We don't know. We're not done that. No.
Yeah. Well, and also he's like, oh, you boys need to behave right towards women. And then he's going to fuck over Vanita. It's like, fuck you, dude.
You know what I do love? I love the scenes where Whitney pretends that he's invested in the friendships when, he's like smoking a cigarette around the corner, calling his friends about a museum in Berlin. Like he doesn't really care.
No, I think he cares about Shep and Craig and Austin and like those friendships. And I think he cares about Madison because Madison's so close with his mom. And, I think Whitney's very protective and loving of his mother. But all the other people, he couldn't give a shit about. I don't think he even wants to learn their names.
Probably not. And also, do you enjoy his highlights?
I don't particularly enjoy his highlights. My husband and I have been referring to them as frosted tips. It's very
absolutely.
2000 boy band.
Yes.
It's like, oh, Whitney, what are you doing? But yeah. I shouldn't make too much fun though, because, once my hair starts going gray, I'll probably dye it too. So.
With tips?
Maybe not with tips.
Maybe a little orange Tiger King.
Just a little orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did have tiger striped hair in my 20s, but it was like very intentional.
There you go.
Much cooler. Anyway.
Well, then it brings me to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Do you think it's inappropriate for Kyle to be texting PK?
So here's the thing. And I think Boz had a great point in that, Kyle saying, oh, Dorit always encouraged our relationship and now she's mad about it. Like, as Boz said, sometimes things change and you need to go like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. And so if one of my good friends was texting my soon-to-be ex, I would be pissed about it.
But do we think that they were ever good friends?
I think that... So here's the thing. Like in real life, if this was just a circle of friends that weren't on television, you've had friends that have gotten divorced. Like you have to, you go with one or the other, right? And sometimes the side you end up on in the divorce is surprising.
I don't think I've ever been in that position, to be quite honest. I've never had to choose someone.
Really?
No, never.
Huh. I have. And sometimes the person that I chose, so I had like an old friend and he was dating this guy and he proposed to the guy and the guy said no and they broke up. We ended up staying friends with the guy who he proposed to that said no rather than like the other guy. And it was very clearly he was like, it's him or me. And so we were like, okay, we choose him. Sorry. And so I think that in the divorce, Kyle would have chosen PK for a number of reasons. I think she felt closer to PK. Yeah. And I think she also maybe wants to get back with Maurizio. And since Maurizio and PK are friends, she's, aligning that way. However, they're not normal people. They're on a television show. And so even if she wasn't that close with Dorit, which I don't think she was as close with Dorit as Dorit thinks she was, she's still going to be around Dorit all the time in this quote unquote friend group. And so because of that, she needs to choose Dorit in the divorce. And I think it is very true. Even if she's just like chit chatting about, oh, we're going on this trip or production's taking us here. If Dorit didn't want PK to know that for whatever reason, Kyle certainly shouldn't be spilling those beans. So yeah, I do think it's as bad as everyone makes it out to be, I think. And as they ask all the women are like, oh yeah, if you were texting my ex, I'd be mad too. And so I think that that's a pretty good gauge of like how to behave. It seems like you disagree.
Yeah, I'm like, what's the big deal? I have texted so many couple friends about this that I know. I asked, do you think it's weird to text someone after they've been divorced? And none of my friends thought it was weird. But I think it's probably because I have a life where I see people's children all the time. So I have to text with the parents about like play dates and stuff. Yeah. So I'm already texting them. So to like completely cut off and go, I have to go through one parent, I cannot speak to the other one, would seem really difficult to navigate. So let me caveat with that. I think that there are two things with PK and Kyle. I think they got quite close because Mauricio's close to him, and he probably spent a lot of time at their house because he wanted to escape Dorit.
Yes.
In the beginning of it, it was him saddling up to the bar in the house and saying, this is what's really going on in our marriage. And then I think PK and Kyle in sobriety probably leaned on each other a lot too. And
That
so
makes sense as
Kyle
well.
feels like it's insensitive for Dorit to say, you can't talk to him anymore, when that may have been something that was important for both of them to have one another to lean on. So that could be part of it. But I also, most importantly, think Kyle knows way too much now.
Yeah.
I think he has shared information about their finances, about their marriage, about other things. And she feels like, one, her loyalty is more to him because she's on a show with her and she projects this persona of like perfection, like nothing rattles her. Her life is perfect. And she knows too much. And I think it boils under her because she doesn't want to talk about it on camera because it would be humiliating for them, but also it would be disloyal to PK. And so that's like the fourth wall that we can't break. And that's why I think it's so frustrating to see scenes with all of them.
I can agree with that. And that, somebody asked me about Carlos King's theory. I don't know if you heard this, but that PK and Dorit are faking the divorce for the camera so that she would have a good storyline so she would stay on the show. And that's what, when Kyle says, this isn't the Dorit I know, this isn't the Dorit I know, she's saying, like, I know you're faking.
Oh, that's possible. Wow. Yeah.
But I like your theory better. I think your theory is more sound in that it's not that they're faking, because I don't think they're faking this divorce, but I do think that Kyle knows about all the things they are faking and doesn't want to say it. And yeah.
My new goal this year is hydration. My days get so busy, it's actually the one thing that I always forget to do. And I love Liquid IV. It is powered by Hydroscience, and it helps you break the mold. They've got great flavors, like my personal favorite, the Pina Colada. Think about how much you are working out. Are you refueling? How much did you actually drink to rehydrate? Liquid IV is leading the way in flavor innovation. They've got a ton of great flavors, including the sugar-free flavors like raspberry lemonade, white peach, and rainbow sherbet. You can break the mold and own your own ritual. Just one stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, and always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. Embrace your ritual with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code KateCasey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today by using promo code KateCasey at liquidiv.com. This episode is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing so your money has the chance to grow for you, your kids, and your retirement. You don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can start with $5 or even just your spare change, and you don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. Head to acorns.com/KKC or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/KKC. Also, I feel like I've known so many couples, and I think that the New York couple, the Millers, is an example of this, where they had this lifestyle that everyone thought they had like Bezos money, and the money's dwindling, but she's maintaining this lifestyle. Yeah. So she's either got her head in the clouds or she's being diabolical. And then the husband dies. And then she sort of continues in Miami with a whole new life. I have seen that happen on the East Coast with families where the husband's out of work and can't find a job, maybe in Wall Street or, in law. Yeah. But the wife is posting pictures on, social media, and behind the scenes, the husband's panicked because he's like, I don't want to humiliate our family. And it's a really dark, dark world. And so when I watch the two of them and I see her in scenes with like this season Chanel, I'm wondering if part of that is he's back at Umansky headquarters, at that house in Encino. And he's been like, I had to go to the UK to try to make something happen. It didn't happen. And I have to maintain this life my kids are used to. And I don't know what to do. And they feel and see his stress. And then she seems to like live in like the Nutcracker.
No, I think that you're totally right. And we've gotten some hints of stuff like that from PK in these kinds of scenes where they're talking about their relationship and he's like, I'm trying to maintain this lifestyle that you want and I'm struggling, and yeah, I really get that.
And I'm just guessing because I don't know, like, I'm not privy to like their conversations, but I just feel like the great thing about these shows is it's a conversation starter and it is a study of human behavior. And I just have to believe that in these cities where these shows are filmed, where the women have become accustomed to fame and they feel like they have to project a certain image of themselves, that sometimes people make bad financial decisions because they want to show themselves in such a way where they feel like they're going to get this level of respect because they have the cars and the houses and the things and the trips and all those things. And we all both know how expensive Los Angeles is.
Yeah. Well, and Dorit has kind of painted herself into this corner where she's like, I'm fashion, I'm labels, Chanel, 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 Chanel. And it's like, yeah, that's not cheap. But you see someone like Erica Jane, who obviously went from having access to a lot of money that wasn't hers or Tom's to having access to not much money, but
still looks great.
Still looks great. Yeah. And I think that Dorit is afraid of that. But it is interesting, like you're saying, that Dorit went from so many seasons of everything's great. PK and I are better than ever. We are so rich. Everything's fantastic. And now this season, she's like, oh, I'm going to tell the truth.
It's hard to understand.
Yeah. And so maybe Kyle is upset about that too, where it's like, where's this Dorit who was always lying, who I was always covering up for? And now she's going to tell the truth and come for me, but I'm still not telling the truth about her. And I can see how Kyle would then get frustrated with that.
I just want them both to have a meltdown episode where they keep it real. One of them's going to crack and they're going to go, oh, really? With this one? Well, let me just tell you what I've been covering up for her. And then we'll all go, okay, now we get it. Yeah,
I want a you stole my house moment in the back of a limo between Kyle and Dorit. Yeah, where they like can't keep it under wraps anymore. Yeah.
Now, the last part of that too is that we have to keep in mind their personal stories. Like, they're in their 40s and 50s now. Like, they're the same version of who they were in their 20s. And if Kyle grows up in a family where she has to sweep things under the rug all the time, she probably does that as a 50-year-old woman in her regular life. So why 100%. Are we surprised that she's not always going to be completely transparent about who she is and what she does? She's probably been doing that since she was a kid.
No, and I think that fans are mad, like, oh, Kyle isn't giving us anything, whatever. But I think Kyle's giving us as much as she can. And I also don't think that Kyle knows what she wants at this point in her life.
So either, yeah.
It seems like I kind of want my ex-husband back, but I'm enjoying my freedom. But maybe I want to be with a woman, but maybe I don't. And like, I think she's like, and we're saying like, okay, Kyle, what are the answers? What are the answers? And she's like, I don't have the answers, so I can't give you the answers. And I think that is more of the case. Like, if you look at the women of Real Housewives of New York, you can feel all of them withholding. Whereas with Kyle, I don't feel her withholding. I feel more of her searching. Does that make sense?
Or she's also protecting, maybe. Maybe she's the kind of like grew up in a family where she had to protect people all the time. And so maybe with Morgan, who may just be a friend, maybe Morgan's like, I don't want to be a storyline on your show. Like, we can hang out. Yeah. But like, I don't want people to be like, oh, that's the singing like Real Housewives star.
Right.
So like, please don't talk about me at all on your show. And then she's like, well, I have to respect her privacy.
Yeah. I mean, but it's also weird that she brought Morgan on the show, and Morgan has
Or she's on a
obviously
reality
benefited
show. Or she's on a
quite a
reality show.
bit, yeah, from being on the show.
Yeah.
And now she's like, oh, maybe not. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
But in the end, like we all tune in because it's like, I feel like they've made a contract with us that they need to like follow through on. Like you
Agree.
need to show every part of you. We're all in agreement that that's what you signed up for, to be cast for the show. So it's complicated.
Well, and I do feel like there are things that could and maybe should stay private. And one of the examples I always use is Denise Richards' affair with Brandi Glanville, right?
Yeah,
like,
I agree. Yeah.
You know, it's like Brandi was off the show.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Denise's husband knew, you know, like, okay, why are we bringing this up? You know, and so if Denise didn't want that on the show, I can respect that. But then there's also but if Denise brought Brandi on the show and they're hanging out having lunch and she's like, oh, Brandi and I are such good friends. Then if somebody was like, those two were fucking, okay, I get it. But that's not what she did. And so they like brought Brandi out of retirement just to humiliate Denise. I thought that was, you know, things like that are really fucked up. Like, I do think that there is room for housewives to have privacy, but you know, but when they start it, it's like, okay, you started it, now you have to end it, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, that brings us to Salt Lake City. So we just started the reunion. What do you make of the fight between Lisa and Bronwyn?
This is a very thorny one because, you know, like I just said, it's like, oh, if you start it, you have to end it. And Bronwyn says she never had any intention of starting it, but then it did. And now Lisa's on Instagram saying Bronwyn was dying to get this on camera because she knew it was a juicy story. So, you know, it's hard to know who to believe, but, and I also think that this whole thing at the reunion about what Lisa said on the after show, though, I think is really overblown because Lisa's saying these people thought Gwen had a miscarriage and, you know, or that Bronwyn had a miscarriage, and Bronwyn's saying that's not true. But if that's what those people told Lisa, then, you know, how is, you know, Lisa's not making up a lie about Bronwyn. She's just repeating what she heard from these people. And maybe that is what they thought. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I have empathy for Bronwyn because I think that singular experience, as painful as it is, compounded with that culture. I mean, we see Heather Gay still has like emotional blocks because she's still suffering from the aftermath of being cut off. And she was married and had 3 children and divorced. But to be a young woman in that community and to have a baby and to feel that level of rejection and that level of protection still for an 18-year-old girl, there's some serious trauma there.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think you're right. And I think that Bronwyn should have been like, no, girl, keep this off the show. Like, I'm not dealing with any of this.
But I am glad she did share it because I feel like it makes me understand her in a totally different way. And I think it speaks so much to her resilience that she was able to endure such a painful experience. And what a blessing that she has a daughter. I'm very glad she shared it. So that is my thing. I like, if she were ever to listen to this, I would say, I know that part of the story that was discussed on the after show is like, it's because of so much pain. She wants to protect her daughter. But I feel like by opening up and sharing that story, she's probably helped so many other women in the process.
And I just think that it's this one little thing that happened on the after show that then it's like a little bit of the Barbra Streisand effect. Like, she's calling so much attention to this I had seen the clip like on Twitter, but you know, you and I are deep into the reality television trenches. Like, I think that most casual fans never would have heard about this if she and Todd didn't bring it up at the reunion. And so I think she's calling a lot of attention to it. And, I agree, like, yes, it must be very traumatic and it was horrible what she went through and whatever. But I know that when the housewives start, production sits them down and says, any skeletons in the closet are coming out.
That's true.
And, true. And they think, I can, it's like Adrienne Maloof and the surrogacy. Like, it's coming out one way or another, the way you want it to or the way you don't want it to. And so I think that for Bronwyn to think that she could keep this under wraps, I don't want to say it's naive because you don't know what the experience of being on a reality show is going to be like until you do it. But I do think that, we were going to hear this story at some point, one way or another. Because if this family that Lisa's friends with, the whole thing didn't happen with the picture in the airport, whatever, I'm sure those people would know that Bronwyn is then on a show with Lisa. And the next time they see Lisa, then it's going to come up in Bronwyn's second season.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so this was always going to happen. And
wow.
And so that doesn't mean I'm not sympathetic to, what's happening and how hard it was for Bronwyn. And I'm even more sympathetic to her daughter who, isn't making the active choice to be on this reality show in the same way her mother is.
Yeah.
But I'm also sympathetic, like Lisa said, like, I understand how Lisa's like, these are my friends and they were hurt too. And, and so I'm just not going to disregard their feelings entirely for your feeling.
Conversely, we've been on the other side of something where you're like, you've been so wronged by someone and somebody who is not aware of the full situation is like, yeah, but show them empathy. And you're like, no, wait, they were an absolute nightmare. I had to go to therapy because of this, what are you talking?
True.
So we've all been there. And I think that's why that scene probably resonated with so many of us.
And I think that that's Lisa's point at the reunion when she says it's a lose, lose, lose. Like, no matter what I say, like, this is such a terrible situation that you're all in. And I think Lisa's saying, like, I feel bad for all of you because this is just terrible and it's not going to end well. And she's somehow stuck in the middle. She was trying to do the right thing. And now she's stuck in the middle and she's getting blamed for it. And it's like,
all she had to do was say, I cannot imagine how painful that must have been for you, Bronwyn. And I have such great respect for how you've been a parent. I can only imagine how difficult it's been for you. And I just want you to know I'm so sorry and also inspired by who you are and what you've accomplished. Something like that. Yeah. I think that's all she wanted to hear.
I totally agree with you, but if that's what you want to hear,
we're also normal people.
Yeah, then Lisa Barlow is not the friend for you.
Right. Yes. What do you think about her calling out Emma and the jewelry? I mean, I hate to say it, I kind of appreciated it because it goes back to the whole Dorit thing. I'm like, are we really spending the kind of money that we're pretending that we throw around? And it's not just this show. I just watched Wags to Riches on Netflix, and they're throwing money around too. I'm like, who is actually spending this kind of money? I think it's just such a dumb thing to perpetuate. Like, I would like a person who has a suitable shoe and bag and, like, goes on a trip and stays at the Ramada. Like, it's fine.
And know what? I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't see it in person, but I thought that necklace was kind of ugly.
Ugly.
I was like, if you're spending $4 million on a necklace, that's the necklace.
And also, why would you spend $4 million on a necklace? That is such a dumb. I would like to ask Todd that question. If I were Andy, I would have asked him about that. Do you think that's a reasonable purchase, a $4 million necklace?
I mean, I think it is if you're like Jeff Bezos or like Elon Musk.
Yeah. Right, but
like this guy isn't that, I don't think. And I did appreciate that. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, and the whole thing seems so staged in that it's like, oh, you're going to drive down from LA to show me this necklace. And then Todd's going to pretend to buy it. Like, we just spent $4 million, but then you're never going to see the necklace again because we didn't really buy it. I think Bronwyn is a lot more full of shit than people think she is currently. And I think that we're going to start to see, I don't think they're in a Dorit PK situation where they're buying Hermes plates, but they have no money. Like, I think that there's money there, but I think that Bronwyn is trying to show a certain character that isn't as fully formed as we think it is.
What do you think about Angie and Mary?
I love Angie and Mary. And when I saw that scene in the finale between the two of them, I bawled my eyes out on the couch. I was just like, because I love a Mary Cosby. I know she's probably way meaner to the women.
Yeah, by the way, the
they're
text
showing
that
us.
she has sent out over the years, way worse than the crafted one about Heather, for sure.
Yeah. Production is covering up for a lot of Mary's behavior because she is such a great character and she's so funny. And, but just for her to be that open and for her to be clocked in, I interviewed her a few weeks ago. And
tell me about
really
that.
the only question I wanted to ask Mary, and I approached Bravo kind of at the beginning of this season, when I saw Mary go to that hip hop dance class and go ziplining, I was like, this is a different Mary Cosby. This is a Mary Cosby who is checked in. She's showing up. She's like engaging in the job of being a housewife. And she clearly wants to be here this season. And so I asked Bravo if I could interview her because I just wanted to ask her what changed. And they were like, yes, but wait till the end of the season. There's a lot more. And I was like, great. And I'm glad that I waited because then we got all the Robert Jr. stuff. We got all this stuff with her and Angie K and whatever. And yeah, I just wanted to be like, Mary, like what changed? And she just basically said, like, I changed my mindset. Like, I want to be here. I have a friend here now. And that makes me want to be here.
She felt like she didn't have a friend before.
Yeah. And that she was all alone and nobody liked her. And now she has Angie. And oh my God, I'm like tearing up again. It makes me like so happy for Mary that she has a friend.
Well, when Angie says you changed my life, what is that? Because I wondered if it was like you changed my life, like you helped me navigate this show and helped me go from friend of to cast member. Like, did she give her the playbook?
Possibly, but I don't think that's the thing about Mary is Mary is a great housewife, but because she's not using the playbook, because she's the one who says like, this whole thing is bullshit. And if I don't like you, I'm going to tell you to your face. Like, I'm not going to play the game of housewives. But yeah, that was the thing that surprised me too, was when she was like, you changed my life. It was like I can see how Angie changed Mary's life because I don't think that Mary has lots of close friends who are peers. I think she has lots of people at her church who are, kowtowing to her a bit, and to have somebody who's like an equal who seems to really care about her, I think would be a big deal. And for someone to say like, don't abandon me, I'm going to keep being your friend, I think for Mary must be really powerful. But yes, I do have a bit of a question about how Mary might have changed Andy K's life. Maybe it is show related. I hope it's not, but it might be.
Okay, that brings me to Real Housewives of New York. This is, talk about thorny. This is a hard one. As you approached your recap, were your fingers bleeding? Like, did you think, I don't even know how to approach this?
Yes. And usually, not to get too deep in the weeds of the recap mind, but usually I get a screener for Beverly Hills on the Monday, and I do Beverly Hills on Monday. And then I get a screener for New York on Tuesday, and I do New York on Tuesday. But because of the holiday, I didn't get a screener on Monday for Beverly Hills. So I had to do them both like back to back. And so I did Beverly Hills, and then it's getting like later in the day. And then I have to do New York, and then I watch New York, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I have to write a second recap today. And it's about sexual assault and lying and like all these things. And I was just like, oh, Jesus. And, I said in my recap, and I believe this, to some degree, these shows aren't built to handle serious issues like sexual assault or race or, whatever. And whenever they do, it gets really sticky. And yeah, I think this is another one of those instances. And I will say, based on the comments of my recap and what I've seen online and stuff, I was afraid everyone was going to be like, Bryn, you're lying. You were never raped. Like, all this shit. And I haven't seen a lot of that. So I'm glad that people are at least taking her sexual assault seriously. But then I did see something online. Somebody posted on Twitter a picture of Bryn and a picture of Phaedra and said the exact same person. And I was like, no. This is not, like, those aren't comparable at all. because Phaedra made up a lie about a cast member raping another cast member and then, pretended it wasn't hers. Whereas Brynn insinuated somebody knew something, or said somebody knew something that maybe she didn't, which I think is a much less worse crime than whatever Phaedra did. So I feel like Brynn is getting way more heat. Like, I don't think what she did was great, but I think she's getting way more heat than she deserves. And people are being like, she's a terrible person and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think it's really thorny.
Post-holiday, sugar crash is real. And parents, let's be honest, finding snacks that satisfy your kids and don't leave them bouncing off the walls isn't exactly easy. That's why I use Thrive Market. They make it simple to find healthier, kid-approved swaps for all of those sugary, junk-filled favorites. And the best part, they've got a healthy swap scanner in the Thrive Market app. It's a total game changer. You scan a product that your kids love, like their favorite chips or crackers, and the app shows a cleaner, healthier alternative. So my kids love Takis. I got them late July Hawaiian habanero chips. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding safe, healthy food. All of their products are 100% non-GMO and free from over 1,000 harmful ingredients. Plus, their on-site filters make it easy to shop by your family's dietary needs. For example, I eat gluten-free. The best part? Everything gets delivered straight to your door, so you don't have to take that stress of searching grocery aisles or reading tiny ingredient lists. Ready for a junk-free start to 2025? Head to thrivemarket.com/Kate Casey and get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Kate Casey. Thrivemarket.com/Kate Casey.
The start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, and prioritize what matters most. For me, a top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. They show me all of my subscriptions right in one place and help me easily cancel ones that I forgot I've been paying for. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Wondery today. That's rocketmoney.com/Wondery. rocketmoney.com/Wondery.
I think it's important to have a tremendous grace because it's such a difficult topic. And you can see how difficult it is because each woman's reaction, like Raquel's reaction in particular.
Yes.
It was the first time on the show where I thought, we're only now really beginning to understand them. And I'm so sad it had to come to this to get there.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking too, maybe this is their Monica moment. On Salt Lake City, where it was like it took that going through that horrible thing together to get them to feel close and to be safe enough with each other to really open up. I hope that's the case.
But I don't think that can include Brynn anymore. I just don't see room for her, which is sad because you can see Brynn struggling with something.
Absolutely. And I think that what is crazy, speaking about covering up things, like after watching the first season and hearing Brynn's story, I remember thinking like, oh my God, she's so well adjusted for somebody who's been through all that. And then you watch the second season, you're like, oh, you just are really good at hiding it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but I don't think that there's room for either of them on the show, sadly, because we can't. And I do believe that Brynn twists the truth in ways that benefit her. And this is unfortunately an egregious one. Like all the other ones, whether or not she was in on the prank, whether or not Aaron called Jenna poor, who gives a shit? That's just usual reality television meddling, which fine. But now that she's done it on this level, we can never trust Brynn again. And I think part of the fun of these shows is, do you believe Kyle? Do you believe Dorit? Do you believe Uba? Do you believe Brynn? And now we're never going to believe Brynn. It's always going to be like, well, Brynn's a liar. And so she won't be fun anymore. But my problem with this is the reason Brynn went to this place is because Uba kept calling her a prostitute on camera and not apologizing for it. And, Teresa called Danielle Staub a prostitution whore, like whatever. Yeah.
Why does anybody have to call anybody a prostitute or a whore? Why?
Agree.
Awful.
But then also Uba is seizing on something that started online, this rumor with the fans, and then is then repeating it and giving it credence by putting it on the show. And I think that is another really bad thing. And again, Uba won't apologize. Uba won't engage in debate. Uba won't let you talk. So every conversation with her is a roadblock. And so that doesn't foster a good reality show either, when you have this one character who's just dominating over everything and everyone else is afraid of taking her on. And so I think that we all know the show isn't working for various and sundry reasons, but I think if you want the show to work, I don't think you can have either of those things on the show.
But if you see Uba in the reunion, and let's say I have not seen it, obviously, but what if she does show up and say, I should have never called her that. It was crossing the line. This has been a painful experience. And all the other women say, we're standing in support of Uba. Why couldn't that move forward?
I think from everything we've seen previous to this incident on the season, just like Uba railroading every conversation, yelling at people for being pigeons, yelling at people for behaving a certain way, or not behaving a certain way. And I think everyone's tiptoeing her around. And I feel like a lot of the problem with New York is everybody's holding back, and having Uba there ready to pounce on anybody is adding to them holding back. And so, I agree that what Brynn said about Uba was terrible, but also, I mean, the thing Brynn said was so terrible, it's now erasing Uba's bad behavior. And I feel like everyone also needs to remember
right. I see what you're saying.
Uba's bad behavior that happened over the course of a whole season,
But if Uba apologizes, and Brynn clearly it does not, because she did the Rolling Stone interview and she did not apologize. That's what I'm saying is like,
yeah, no,
then you're on an impasse.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. But I still don't think Uba, in the current way we're seeing her, is good for the show.
Yeah. You know who's the real star of that episode? Was really Raquel.
Raquel is so good. I mean, I love Raquel really so much.
Her. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that she gave us some great stories. She gave us, and you can see how in a lot of these situations, like Raquel wants to react, wants to engage in a way that we're used to housewives engaging, in a way that a lot of the other women don't seem interested in. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like if you get a couple more antagonists into the show, I think Raquel's going to do even better. I also think someone like Jessel, who's better at reacting than approaching people, would also do well. I think you need some people who are going to stir things up, but who will also give people enough room to debate that Uba won't. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think that's the end of the show, or do you think they'll come back?
I feel like, a lot of people are like, oh, they have to cancel it. They have to cancel it. I don't think that Bravo is willing to show the chink in the armor of we're putting New York on pause, that would then cascade to the rest of the franchises. So I think they're going to try desperately to make it work, but I'm hoping that we are going to get a few people out, a few people in. Yeah. And, and I do like what they're doing, like trying to keep it upscale, trying to keep it aspirational, trying to keep it diverse. I think all of those instincts are right. They just need to get the right combination of women on the show to work. But what surprised me is, if you watch Potomac, it took maybe like 3 years for it to get going,
Yeah.
But it got better each year. Whereas this one, I thought that 2 was worse than 1.
Yeah.
And so that like backwards trajectory worries me a little bit.
I would definitely also take out Rebecca Minkoff.
Oh, I mean, duh.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, no. There seems to be a
pull up a
bond
chair at the end of the couch like they did to Tiki Barber's wife. Yeah, just like,
goodbye.
Bye, Becky. Thanks.
Take the hook and just pull her off stage.
Yeah.
No. She and Todd Newport have not been my favorites this year thus far.
Oh my God. I fucking hate Todd Newport so much.
I don't even know if that's his last name, but yeah.
Oh my God. It might as well be. But and just the way he carries himself and the way he thinks he's so over it and how, even him coming on the reunion and being like, my stepdaughter, Gwendolyn. It's like just calling her Gwendolyn is like, and then he's like, and she's 18 and we've been together for 10 years. So I've been there for a majority of her life. And it's like, girl, you don't need to prove this shit to us. Like, you don't what is wrong with you? And I think he's like seizing on all the wrong things. He's like paying attention. He thinks they shouldn't be fighting when that's the show. It's like, you don't understand this and you think you're better than it and you're not. Because you're in it.
I keep thinking like, should she divorce him? What version of herself would we see? Like, she might be completely fun and cool and loose and bohemian, but she's under his thumb.
Do we think there are a lot of people that think she went on the show because she wants to divorce him? Do you think that's true? I kind
of do. I don't know. She looks like she wants freedom, like her own. Like now her daughter's 18. It's like a marker, right? Like she's gotten her daughter to the point where she can spread her wings and fly, right? But I just don't see it seems very paternal, their relationship. The way he talks down to her really pisses me off.
No, and it gives me Tom Girardi, Erica Jane vibes.
Yeah.
Not in that I think he's a crook, but that in the way he is like dominating the relationship. And she's trying to, get
and also in the same
way,
way,
attention, her own life.
Erica, I felt like would treat people with such disdain and she would be so harsh, but it was clearly because that's how she was treated at home. She needs to unload on somebody. And I feel like Bronwyn, maybe her reactions to things are because she's so controlled at home. She might be the Blake Lively to Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Interesting. That is very interesting. But I cannot stand Todd. I think he's gross. I don't want him on my television, especially because you don't like his clothes either. No, I don't like his clothes. And then it's like they show all the husbands in the pool. And I was like, I would fuck every one of you except for Todd. You know, like all the husbands are hot. And then there's like this jamoke. And it's like, whoa. And he seems like the kind of guy where it's like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I write about reality television. He goes, I don't even own a television. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
Like he seems like one of those. And it's like, fuck you, dude. Like you're not better than me because,
yep.
You know, that's how I feel about Todd.
Like I'm sophisticated as he like smokes from the cigarette extender. Yes. With a scarf around his neck, please.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, no, dude, you're
but then he
like
secretly, but by the way, and secretly knows all the cast members of 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah. Right.
I know the type.
Yeah. So like, fuck that guy. And I think his thing is he's used to being the CEO. He's used to being like a big shot in business. And now he's on the show where he's second fiddle. He's like nobody.
No one cares that you sold a company or whatever. No one cares.
No one cares. No one cares. And he's used to being like, I'm in charge. I'm the big shot. And it's like, not here. You're not. Nobody cares about you. And I think he does
rattled by that and doesn't like it. And probably maybe even enrages him in some small way. Yeah. I would love for her to move on. And I'd love to see her dating. That would be fun.
Yeah. I mean,
she's probably like, actually, I'm going to go on a limb here. I don't know her personally. I'm just saying through the TV, you know, you make assessments. She's probably a totally different version of herself without him around.
I bet you, yes. And you see that when they're like at dinners together and he's being domineering and saying like, don't say that or whatever. And you can see her retreat a bit. Then when she's with all the other women, she's up there with everybody else, you know?
Yeah. Well, by the way, do you think she'll be like a midlife pop star, like the Melissa Gorga route?
Oh my God, I would die. She's going to be the Countess Luann's opening act. It's going to be like Broadway Newport. Yeah.
Broadway which is a performer's name if I've ever heard it. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. But also, thank God for her, they don't have a prenup because she's made so much of her identity around being rich that she's going to need that money.
Yeah. Maybe she'll be a designer.
Oh my God, of course she'll be a designer. She'll be a designer and it'll be terrible.
It'll be like coin purses.
Yeah, I'm starting with coin purses and then I'm going to move up to bags.
Yeah,
and
headbands and boots and like long boots like Julia Fox was wearing last night. Like the
God,
pink Pinocchio boots.
She's gonna have a jewelry line like Whitney Rose.
Oh, that's what she'll do. She'll make a set of hoops and a matching necklace because of she'll like lean into that. Well, we just solved all of the problems and situations, of course. Tell everybody what's going on over at Vulture and what's going on with you right now.
You can find me everywhere at Brian J. Moylan on all social media platforms. And then for Vulture right now, I'm recapping Beverly Hills, Southern Charm, Survivor will start shortly. Summer House starts shortly.
God bless.
And then I have my newsletter, The Housewives Institute Bulletin, which you can sign up for at vulture.com/housewives.
Did you watch the Summer House screener yet?
No, I haven't gotten it.
Yeah, no.
Have you?
No, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Paige and Kyle and Carl and Carl's ex, all the people.
I'm very excited. I have been a huge Summer House fan for a long time. So,
well, good.
Stoked.
Do you think we should show up one time, Summer House, next season?
I was gonna approach Bravo PR last summer and be like, "Can I get invited to a party and like write about it? Like, I want to go to one of the parties." That would be so great,
Brian. You should do that. Yes.
Maybe this summer I'll be like, "Can I go?" And yeah, and I've I moderated their panel at BravoCon, so I've met everybody. I'd be down.
I would like to see you floating on a pool float.
I mean, it would happen. It's going to be me in like a leopard print Speedo.
Yes, without question. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen. Okay, good. Well, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
I want to thank my great guest, Brian Moylan, and remind you to click subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and make sure that you go to katecasey.substack.com to sign up for my What to Watch list. Bonus episodes, Patreon, patreon.com/KKC. Saturday series episode is dynamite. Don't miss out. And follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at KKCCA, TikTok, it's KKC, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, at KKC.
Hello, ladies and gerbs, boys and girls. The Grinch is back again to ruin your Christmas season with Tis the Grinch Holiday Podcast. After last year, he's learned a thing or two about hosting, and he's ready to rant against Christmas cheer and roast his celebrity guests like chestnuts on an open fire. You can listen with the whole family as guest stars like John Hamm, Brittany Broski, and Danny DeVito try to persuade the mean old Grinch that there's a lot to love about the insufferable holiday season. But that's not all. Somebody stole all the children of Whoville's letters to Santa, and everybody thinks the Grinch is responsible. It's a real Whoville whodunit. Can Cindy Lou and Max help clear the Grinch's name? Grab your hot cocoa and cozy slippers to find out. Follow Tis the Grinch Holiday Podcast on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Unlock weekly Christmas mystery bonus content and listen to every episode ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.